1920s, when everything was in black and white and when cartoons made no sense.
Though while these two guys take major inspiration from these older cartoons, their situations are far more gray than black and white.
Spinel versus the Ink Demon.
There are some days where you let the intrusive thoughts win. Some days where you decide, I'm gonna fuck a rock.
I don't think they actually physically procreated though.
Now that Mr. No Fun here has ruined the joke, Rose Quartz was a rebellion leader against space Nazis who had a kid named Steven who saved the universe, and everyone lived happily ever after.
However, a couple years later, after Steven grew a neck, his idyllic life ended up being interrupted by a brand new threat from space.
You've probably heard this backstory over and over again, so I'm not gonna bore you with the details before you drift away. Spinel is a rubberhose rock alien jester who has a 6,000-year grudge against the crystal gems.
He was originally a close companion to Rose Quartz, but unfortunately Rose had slowly stopped finding her game spot, so she brought Spinel to a random gardener and told her to stand still, which she did. For centuries. Yeah, naturally her sanity took a bit of a hit from the experience. So when she caught wind of Rose's offspring and realized she truly had been abandoned, she I
wouldn't say she's that insane. Wanting revenge after that is perfectly reasonable, and she had the skill to do it. Being a jester-style Thune, Spinel can twist and contort her body far more than most other gems, able to squash and stretch her way through a fight. She slaughtered the crystal gems in a 2-minute musical number. That is quite the banger.
Quite impressive, considering one of them, Garnet, was fast enough to block lightning and survive an explosion that blew up part of a mountain. Though given they were rusty from fighting at the time, it's unclear exactly how well she'd compare to their best feats.
Oh shit, if they're all centuries old, there's no way a few years of relaxation made them rusty. I'd say she'd still compare pretty well, especially considering the giant explosion her injector caused. Michael Bay's frothing at the mouth from that thing.
Being a gem, Spinel is also naturally able to survive in situations beyond what a normal human can do, since they're light hologram people, basically. They typically have enhanced speed and strength compared to normal humans, are immune to stuff like diseases and toxins, and automatically adjust their bodies to different gravities. They also have the ability to fuse with other gems, though that's probably not that relevant here.
Spinel also happens to be expertly skilled, despite the fact that she's the rock equivalent of a court jester who stood still for 6,000 years. And that brings us to her Rejuvenator. While this may look like some hot pink slice ripped out of Ruby, this baby was able to slice through gems and poof them instantly, resetting their memory and character development to square one.
While they are able to restore their memories, it's a bit of a long process to do, and while Spinel has not immune to it herself, she also has her massive injector.
Anti-vaxxers beware! This injector's poison is so powerful it could kill the entirety of the Earth in 2 days.
Well, the injector's process could be sped up manually by her, which is dangerous since the gas emitted by it was powerful enough to fucking melt its steel.
Also, parking it must have been hell.
Well, in that case, it's a good thing Steven was able to talk her down eventually, since if she had been left unchecked, who knows how many planets she might have gassed up.
Speaking of toxicity, Spinel's greatest weakness might be her own. She's clearly not all there.
Again, alone for 60 centuries, that anyone would be speaking clearly after all that.
Not to mention, she's a bit weak to her own weaponry, with the Rejuvenator able to even reset herself.
In case, with all her skills and friends by her side, she's far from the loser of the game no one else knew they were playing.
The year was 1987. Wait, wrong game. The year was 1946. Joey Drew Studios opening its greatest attraction yet. Bendyland. Only one problem. These mascots weren't convincing enough. It was way too obvious some guy in a creepy costume. He needed a way to bring mascots to life.
So naturally, it turns to the guy who always makes good deals. Satan.
The device was Christianed, or anti-Christianed, the Ink Machine, bringing to life the titular mascot, Bendy. Only one problem.
Due to lacking any soul of its own, the resulting mascot was imperfect, being a mess of ink. Drew tried to lock the demon away as he made further experiments, even leading to the creation of a whole world known as the Cycle. However, it didn't quite end so well for him.
The Ink Demon is the king of its domain. Everyone and everything in the Cycle fears this guy. The most powerful characters all around this place can't even touch them. And when they do...
Very little within the cycle has been shown to slow the demon down. Steel doors, collapsing shafts, actual gunfire, all that tends to do is just slow him down.
Not to mention, he has complete control of the place too. Since this cycle is an entire dimension of ink, the ink demon can teleport and warp around it with ease.
Even if he somehow gets hurt, he can regenerate his body by absorbing more ink. This is the main reason he is so feared, as most of the other ink creatures within the cycle are unable to touch the ink he leaves without being consumed and assimilated. And talk about clingy friends.
You do realize who his opponent is, right? Either way, the ink demon doesn't simply just walk through his enemies and get what he wants. No, wait, that's exactly what he does. He can change his size and form at will, going from a turd with a smile to a giant ox-looking thing that completely thrashes the place. He can even change the environment he walks in, the very inks reacting to his presence. He is truly Bendy and the Ink Machine.
However, in spite of this power, he's not without his weaknesses. For one thing, he requires ink to maintain himself. If he's without it, he's far less powerful. And most notably, if he's exposed to the end a special tape showing Bendy's last cartoon, he'll end up dying as the cycle is reset. Though, I don't think Spinel has any film reels lying around her spaceship, so not sure how well that works.
No matter what though, he's become alive, immortalized. There's no vaccine to cure his dirty need. Now you better build up his machine, or else tonight you die. Well, I guess you can say the cycle stopped for Bendy. The cycle of life!
This was a bit tricky to figure out. For one thing, a lot of the two's unique abilities were based around harming other gems and ink creatures respectively, so it was hard to tell how much their tricks could be pulled off on each other.
There is also the matter of location. The Ink Demon is pretty boned if he shows up outside of Joey's Roost studio since, it's not made of ink. And the Spinel's injector doesn't really work in the cycle because it's not actually living material. It's ink. Both sides are at a bit of a disadvantage spread out into their usual habitat, but since Bendy is put at way more of a disadvantage than Spinel is, the fight will take place in the cycle.
That being said, there was very little question that Spinel had the edge physically. Bendy's best possible feats physical might were busting down walls and scaling the trains, which, is child's play in comparison to what Spinel scales to thanks to beating the crystal gems.
However, Bendy's shapeshifting outmatched Spinel's. He can become humongous, create other objects, and any attack Spinel could throw would be healed in minutes. So it seemed that they were at a stake.
So this really came down to who was more capable of killing the others first. Spinel's own limits were far beyond what Bendy was capable of reaching. Her gem physicality and natural durability edge meant there really wasn't a good way for him to kill her for good. Even though he had control of the roots of the cycle, this clearly wasn't some sort of one-to-one power transfer, meaning he could just naturally blow up a universe or something.
Not to mention that the cycle is filled with Gent towers and stations, meaning one wrong step could make Bendy throw to baby Bendy, who can actually feel pain.
His best bet would probably be trying to disarm her with the Rejuvenator and use it against her, but not only would that require him to know she was weak to it in the first place, her far better speed and fighting skill and keeping up with warriors with centuries of experience meant it was unlikely for that to happen. Guessing the game won't be getting a reboot anytime soon.
This fiction fight's winner is Spinel!